A very good morning, children. We are meeting after quite some time, but I hope that you are healthy and happy with your family. So today we are going to start a new lesson number 13. One good turn deserves another. It is a short story as comprehension. Comprehension means understanding. Comprehend means understand. Comprehend, understand. Comprehension, understand. Okay. So there is a short story, an extract from a book based on A Model Millionaire by Oscar Wilde. A model millionaire. A very, very rich man who has millions of rupees is called a millionaire. A man who does not have enough money is called a poor man. A man who does not have money at all, who begs for food from other people, is called a beggar. It's called a beggar. So I'm going to read the story, listen to the pronunciation and the punctuations. The rule says if there is a comma after a sentence or a clause, you have to stop for a shorter time, and for full stops, you have to stop for a longer time. So I'm going to read the story, okay? Listen carefully and if required, use earphones. It's from page number 66, lesson 30. One good turn deserves another. When Hughie entered his friend Trevor's studio, he found Trevor painting an old beggar in rags. Sometimes later, Trevor went out to speak to the frame maker. The beggar took advantage of Trevor's absence to rest for a moment on a wooden bench behind him. He looked so miserable that Hughie could not help pitying him and felt in his pocket for some change. All he could find was a sovereign. Although he himself was badly in need, he felt the beggar's need was greater than his own. He walked across and slipped the sovereign into the beggar's hand. The old man started, and a faint smile flitted across his withered lips. "Thank you, sir," he said. "Thank you." Then Trevor arrived at Hughie's, took leave of him, slightly embarrassed at what he had done. Later in the evening, the two friends met again at the Palette Club. Hughie asked Trevor if the painting was done. Trevor said that it had even been framed, and then went on to add how the old beggar model had become a big fan of Hughie. He wanted to know all about him, and Trevor had obliged him. When Trevor added that he had even told the beggar about Laura, Hughie's fiancée, and the 10,000 pounds that her father had asked him to have ready if he wanted to marry Laura, Hughie became furious. "How dare you tell the beggar, old beggar, all my private matters?" cried Hughie. "My dear boy," said Trevor, smiling, "that old beggar, as you call him, is one of the richest men in Europe. He would buy all of London tomorrow." "What on earth do you mean?" exclaimed Hughie. "The old man you saw today is Baron Osborne, a friend of mine, who buys all my pictures. It was his wish that I should paint him in a beggar's rags," answered Trevor, laughing. "Good heavens, I gave him a sovereign," said Hughie, and sank into a chair dismayed. Soon thereafter, With a heart as heavy as a lead, Hughie walked back home. The money he had, and which he could have used to hire carriage, he had already given away to the beggar. The next day, an old gentleman visited Hughie with an envelope from Baron Hosbald. It had a check for £10,000 in it. On the outside was written, "A wedding present for Hughie is Sky and Laura Merton from an old beggar." When Hughie and Laura got married, the Baron made a speech at their wedding breakfast. But Trevor, as the best man, had the last word. Millionaire models are rare enough, but model millionaires are rare still. Very interesting story. You see, there are two friends, Hughie and Trevor. Hughie and Trevor. Trevor is a painter. You know, in olden times, cameras were not there for pictures. So the painters, they used to paint portraits. Suppose I want my portrait to be mine, I'll go to the artist. Okay, the artist will make me sit on the chair in some particular position. First of all, he will take a canvas, he will draw the picture and paint it. And it is sold to that man. Pictures were made like that many years ago. But now, you have cameras in your head, you know, your mobile phone, it has multi-purpose. You can take the photos, you can make videos, so many functions are there in today's mobile. That's why I say to my students, you have the world in your hand. You know why? Mobile, when it is connected to internet, you'll get all the information about the world in your hand. So the world is in your hand. So one person is there, Hughie, and his friend's name is Trevor. Trevor is a painter and he has a studio. In today's studio you take pictures, but in earlier studios paintings were made, portraits were made, landscapes were made. So he went there and he saw that. Hughie saw that his friend Trevor was painting an old beggar, a very poor man. His clothes were in rags, all torn and dirty. Hair all undone, quite a dirty face, dirty nails, hands, dirty clothes, torn clothes. He was sitting there, Trevor was looking at him and painting. Hughie saw the old beggar. Okay. Now after some time, Trevor went out to get the frame. Those days, frames were made by the carpenters. But nowadays, you get ready-made frames. When Trevor went out of the studio to get a frame, he looked at the beggar. At first, he was sitting on the chair, you know, posing for the portrait. Now, as Trevor has gone out, he got down from the chair and sat somewhere else. So Hughie went near him, looked at him. He felt very sorry for the beggar. Looking at his condition, Hughie felt very bad. He wanted to give some money to the beggar. Okay, he did not have enough money, so he felt his pocket. He just got one coin. It was a souvenir, a coin. He felt pity for the beggar, too much of kindness and compassion for the beggar. If he had more money, he would have given, but he had only one coin. So he gave the coin to the beggar. Like, then he sat there. After some days, Hughie and Trevor met each other. Alright. Then Hughie asked, "Did you finish the painting of the beggar?" Trevor said, "Yes. I have finished the painting, I have got it framed, and I have sold to the beggar." "What? You sold to the beggar?" "Yes." "What are you doing? He's such a poor man." "Okay, he's such a poor man. What did you do?" Then he said, "Okay, Hughie," Trevor said, "Hughie, calm down. He is not a beggar. He is not a beggar. He is very someone special, someone very special. Then, after you went out from my studio, the beggar asked me about you. Miss, you showed kindness, you showed pity, you showed compassion and gave some money to the beggar. So the beggar asked me about you. And I told him everything. What did you tell him? I said that, Hughie, you are my friend. You are not very rich. You are about to be married. You have a fiancé. Fiancé is a girl or boy who is supposed to get married or is engaged for marriage. Okay, when a boy and girl are engaged for marriage, they become fiancé. Alright, he said, I talked about your fiancé also. What did you tell? Then he said, your would-be father-in-law, your fiancé's father, means your father-in-law, has demanded 10,000 pounds from you, it's a currency of England, 10,000 pounds of money, dollar, if you want to get married with your fiancé. Right. What is the fiancé's name? Laura. Hughie is going to get married with Laura. Then he got very angry. What have you done? I had no money at that time. I could have given me some more money, but I had only a souvenir that I gave to him. I could have used that coin, that souvenir, as for the ride, like a taxi fare. But that money was lost. Then Trevor said, don't worry. He is not a beggar. He was modeling as a beggar. He buys all my pictures. He is so rich that he can buy London. He can buy London overnight. He is so surprised. Then said, why? He was a beggar. I said, no. He is very, very rich. He has very fine clothes. He is the richest man in England. But he wanted his portrait as a beggar. So it was just a get-up. You can say a make-up. Then what did he tell? I told him that you need 10,000 pounds to get married with, what is the girl's name I said? Lucy, Laura. Anyway, times passed. Then he said, oh my God, what have I done? He is such a millionaire. He has millions of pounds. And I gave him one coin. I gave him one coin. What have I done? Saying this, he sank on the chair. He was very desperate. He was dismayed, very, very sad at what he had done. But what I have done? I have given a coin, a souvenir to the millionaire, thinking him to be a beggar. My God, what happened? Then, after some days, the next day, one gentleman came to his house, a very thorough gentleman. He was carrying an envelope. And in the envelope, there was a check of 10,000 pounds. 10,000 pounds. Then that man gave the envelope to Hughie. Okay. Means that man wanted Hughie to get married with Laura. And Hughie can only marry Laura when he pays 10,000 pounds to his would-be father-in-law. Means this so-called beggar, actually a millionaire, wanted to help Hughie. After some days, Hughie and Laura got married. Actually, the old beggar was a baron. What is the name of the baron? It's mentioned here. He is the richest man in Europe. He could buy all of London the next day. He is Baron Hosbach, richest man in Europe, not only England. richest man in Europe, Baron Hosbach, he could buy all of London the next day. Okay, so he came and he gave the envelope. Means in the envelope there was a check of 10,000 pounds. So that check he gave to Laura's father. As per his demand, he gave the check to Laura's father and he got married with Laura. During the marriage, there was a breakfast and Baron Hosbach gave a speech. Many people gave a speech, but the best speech was given by Trevor, his friend, the painter. What he said, millionaire models are rare enough, but model millionaires are raristic. He said, millionaire models are very rare to find. Means models, it can be an example. Like we have many models in Indian film industry and fashion industry. Models, models. Suppose some new kind of dress has been made or designed. Some good figured people will wear it and have a catwalk or swap. That's a model. So Trevor said, millionaire models are rare. It is difficult. Very few are found. But it is more difficult to find model millionaire. Model means to give an example. So what is the topic of the story? One good turn deserves another. So it is very much justified. One good turn deserves another. Means if somebody does something good for you, it is your turn to do good for that person in times of need. Suppose I am in trouble today, one of my friends helps me. And when that friend is in trouble, it is my duty to help. If somebody gives me something, I should also give that person something back. If somebody helps me, it is my duty to help back that person. Okay, one good turn deserves another. So story, Hughie is poor. He did not have enough money, so he was facing difficulty in getting married with Laura because his would-be father-in-law had asked for 10,000 pounds. But when Hughie went to Trevor's studio and saw the poor beggar, he felt all his pockets, got 1 coin and gave to the beggar. Okay. And later on, Trevor told the story of Hughie to that so-called beggar. It is Baron Hosbach. He told this story. He said, actually he is a poor man, but he has a good heart. He has to pay 10,000 pounds to his father-in-law to get married with Laura. He had no money, but he gave you the only coin which was in his pocket. Means he has done something good for you. Now the old beggar said, yes, he is poor, but he is rich in heart. He has done something good for me. He has tried to help me. Now it is my turn to help him back. This is the story. Okay. Now see page number 67. Some exercises are there. You do exercise B, C, D and E. Then turn to page number 68. You do exercise F. Only F. Okay. This much you do it in a rough book. Once again, I'll correct it the next time. So till then, bye children.